We go live. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of Keep the Mic On. I am Simply Sherry, and since March of 2020, we have been here every week in conversation with one of our buddies, a phenomenal artist, and trust me, tonight is definitely one that qualifies, one of the most phenomenal artists we know. My week is called From Behind the Microphone, where we take the time to get to know the artist behind the art, because they're people too, and their art, their creations come from such a space, and I want us to be able to get to know them as people. This is your time to go find your friends, your family. I know KaNikki's gonna say it. Let them know that we are live. Can follow us on Facebook and on like and subscribe on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook. Hit the Cash App. I'm going to go ahead and kick it to the one and the only. You know what? I'm going to be different this week and send it to Miss Cayenne.
What's up? What's up? Happy Sunday, everybody. Listen, I'm Miss Cayenne. I'm a poet, and I know it. And I am one of the hosts for Keep the Mic On. My segment is called Passion Projects, the root behind the why. I'm the kid that always asks, but why? But why? So that's what we get to talk about on my segment, learning the behind the scenes as why we do what we do. And as Simply Shared has already stated, every week we have phenomenal creatives on the show. So tonight is no different. You definitely want to get your friends in them, your family in them, and come on in the room. So without further ado, because we want to get right into it, I am going to kick it to the one, the only, I believe it is, Girl Genius.
Yeah, call your mama and them. Y'all gonna want to watch this show. It's gonna be awesome. I'm excited. Y'all have no idea how excited I am. Look, I say this every week. I swear I do. But y'all ain't ready. You're not ready. You're not ready. And I'm gonna tell you you're not ready. So go ahead and get your mama, your cousins, all of them. Get them come watch the show. Thank me later. That's my job. Okay, so
Justice, this is one of the dopest artists we know.
Listen, I'm gonna keep my intro brief just for that reason. So, anywho, I'm Girl Genius. If you don't know who I am first week of every month. I host a segment called "Let's Talk About the ... Usually books, but I talk about all the things that are the tangible products, the back end, the how did you get from point A to point B? How are you an artist with no art? How do you make the art? And get there. That is my segment. So again, first week of every month, excited to be with you this week. I am going to stop talking because I really am excited about our guest this week, and I'm going to give it to this week's host, who is in that corner. Yeah, there you go. It's kind of weird because it's the opposite of what you think it is.
Right. Every time I'm like pointing, like which way is the way?
Which like that way? Like I'm pointing to my right, but it looks like my left. Is really crazy. Anywho, I'm yes. You know what? It's gonna go that way or that way. My favorite person, one of my favorite people, poets, that one over there, KaNikki J. Woo!
Hey y'all, hey. So yes, Sylvie Sherry already said, tell your mama them and all your friends that we are live, and we are live here every week at 7:00 Eastern Standard Time. And this is a perfect opportunity for me to let you know that these artists come on this show for free, but these platforms are not free. So if you would like us to continue to keep the mic on, you can support us by dropping a little cash and keep the mic on. And then don't forget your artist as well, because we have been coined a master class, and these people be dropping knowledge. That's all I'm
Yes,
I'm
they do. Yes, they do.
Every
Yes, they
single
do.
episode. Go back and watch them again if you don't believe me.
You hear? I have went back and watched some myself and didn't know what they said. I was like, where was I when they said this? This is it's amazing. So I met this artist. Not really. Didn't really meet her. I met her foot on the stage at the Women of the World Poetry Slam, in which she had won. And me, I was on the stage. She was standing on the stage. I was in the bottom of the stage, tapping on the floor like this, trying to get her attention, and caught her foot and said, "Congratulations!" So that is my extent of knowing this person. I have not officially met Radi, the poet, yet. But so it's going to be an amazing night because I really don't know her as a person, but I know her art. So I'm going to read you a little bit of the bio And let me just say this, and I say it every time. By the time I read this bio, it is going to be expired because people like Radi do so much stuff that they don't have time to be updating bio. That's why you should be following them on social media and following them on person and not following them home. So I'm going to read a little bit of this bio. So, author of the ChapBook, One Name, All Caps, Radi is an artist and award-winning writer specializing in spoken word poetry. Her work covers topics such as civil rights, body positivity, sex positivity, colorism, sexism, and more, all while reflecting her real life experiences as a proud black, a proud fat Black lesbian. Competing for 9 years, Radi has had the honor of representing 5 National Poetry Slam teams, 3 in which is in her hometown of New Jersey. She reigns as a 4 times Poetry Slam champion of the top ranked Poetry Slam teams in the nation. I think it's Juru. Not really sure, but I will ask her. New Juro Slam. She is a Stonewall International Poetry Slam champion, making her the first queer poet in the world. She is a Black Arts Matter Slam champion, Baltimore Pride Slam champion, and was the member of the 2019 Brooklyn International Slam team, with whom she featured as the 2019 Carnival Slam in the beautiful island of Antigua. But her most proud accomplishment is currently being the first female slam poet of the world. Give it up for wherever you are right now for our special guest tonight. Give it up for Radi.
Hey everybody, how y'all doing?
I am fantastic. Thank you so much for saying yes to this. You
Thanks for
totally
inviting me.
blew like my daughter and I away. Trust me, it was amazing. I was so happy to have my daughter, who's now 18, so she could come talk to these things, right? And
Yeah.
just do this, and we were sitting. We had a little chair. I don't know. We were social distancing. We had a little chair between us, right? We're sitting like on the 4th row, right? We had some good seats. We had the good seats. So we're sitting on the 1st row. We high-fiving each other. We like, what? Right? This is what we're doing, right? And then so I happily, once my husband designed the flyer for tonight, I happily sent her a text message and said, guess who? Guess what? She was like, oh, right? So we're very, very excited. I have you to know, actually, you know what I'm going to do? Because I'll start the interview because I'll be talking. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to give you the whole screen by yourself so you can bless us with a piece. And then I'll come back, give more commentary, and ask you some questions about everything.
Okay, no problem.
The screen is yours.
Hello, everyone. As you know, my name is Radi, and I talk a lot of shit. So let's just get right into it, right? I'm going to say some things tonight. It may make you want to judge me, may make you want to say a few things about me. That's fine. You may want to call me a bitch, slut, Jezebel, hussy, hoe, jade, nympho, trollop, thought, heifer, me, you. According to Webster's dictionary, a whore is defined as a promiscuous, immoral woman. A woman who was considered sexually promiscuous. A woman who was considered as having compromised principles for personal gain. Isn't it funny how every definition begins with the belittlement of women? Like there is no way a man could possibly fit that description. A double standard bias enough to drive a sane woman crazy. How can you move like a man move and expect to still be called a lady? Like how can he do what we do and expect to still be called a man? It doesn't have to be fair. It's life, right? Name one man who is respected for living off of his wife, Webster. A slut is a woman with the morals of a man. Morals of or dealing with right and wrong. Right means in public you worship your man on his throne. The freak within you is only allowed to be seen at home. Wrong is loving sex and embracing your sexuality, because sharing that love with too many people can lead to promiscuity. Webster, promiscuous. Engaging in casual sexual relations with many people. Good girls keep their body count low to none. So instead of laying with whomever we wish, we get in relationships to justify giving him some. Therein lies a huge risk. See, if he's not what you've expected, then you're stuck as far as being cuffed to whack dick. And replacing him is easy, but you can't have too many bodies because sex is not a hobby. It's simply contradictory that most men who practice misogyny often dabble in polygamy. My mother once told me, your womb is to be treated like a cut. It may bleed, but keep it clean and always keep it covered up. She never told me that taking off my band-aid qualified me as a slut. So what the fuck? Am I just another whore because I like to engage in the reason my body was made? Virgin told me she was saving herself for marriage. Purer than fresh milk, so I had to warn her. Why would a man buy the cow when there's a whore on every corner? Our little chocolate girls see cheeks clapping and men laughing. No wonder our M&Ms are growing into Marilyn Monroe's and Mary Magdalene's. And the more you hold them still, the more their curiosities roam. Every woman's body is a temple, but every man is Indiana Jones with cocks locked and loaded, ready to whip out and invade your premise. And with each injury, you're more degraded and diminished into being a hoe. They tell us that getting through the top through education is the best, but it seems like sucking and fucking is a shorter route to success. Because in this day and age, you're excused from being a whore, thought, or jade if you're paid. Only prostitutes collect money after she's been laid. The ideal woman is strong in essence, has a presence that may intimidate the breed of a weaker man. Then again, hell, we'll just call her a lesbian. Where I'm from, that's worse than being a hoe. Thank you. That was my first one.
Well done. Well done. You come out with shots fired. I'm saying I even had to go. I had to go in my own YouTube and write yes. I had to go in my own YouTube on the own show, host the show, go right yes. Yeah. That I'm telling you, you come out just shots fired. Like I said, shots fired, right?
Thank you.
Listen, I read, I think that you have been performing for 9 years. Is that right?
Yes.
9 years? Okay. So, but how long have you been writing poetry?
Oh, I have been writing poetry since I was in the 3rd grade. I'll never forget my first poem. Just being a complete romantic at heart. I was such a dramatic little child and thought I was in love, and poetry just came naturally. And the first poem I remember is Phenomenal Woman by Maya Angelou. It was on the back of my mother's shirt, the shirt that my mom used to wear all the time. So I thought that was my mom's poem. That's what I thought. So when I went to school and they were reading this poem, and I'm sitting there angry in my 3rd grade class, like this woman is stealing my mother's poetry. Like this I can't believe this. So I go home and I'm like, Mom, you wouldn't believe what they read today in class. They told us a woman named Maya Angelou wrote this, but this is your poem. And she was like, no, this is Maya Angelou's poem.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can relate to that. My dad recited a lot of Dr. Seuss when I was growing up, and when I got the Dr. Seuss book, I thought he was Dr. Seuss. I mean, because you don't think to ask when you're in the 3rd grade, you don't think to ask that. Like, did you?
Yeah.
You don't think that. Yeah, I totally get that.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the performance. Well, first, let me just say this. I have to ask the question that every person who's interviewed gets asked. Right. Okay. But I mean, in your case, I actually don't know, because I don't know your back history. Right. So the questions, the people want to know the answers to these questions, especially people who are aspiring to be poets or whatever they want to know. So I have to start with the beginning. So I have to ask you, what influences your writing?
To be honest, just my everyday life. A lot of the poems that I write now are directly about me. I like to be in my own poems, which it didn't start like that. I would be inspired by literally just someone giving me the challenge to write about a concept. That was inspiring. And I always love I've always been very, very good with being able to tell stories. So character development, settings and just time frames and all these other things have always been very, very interesting to me. So the fact that I can get someone to sit down and listen to a story that I wrote in 3 minutes, really, really quick, how do I make it a good story though? And then it started changing. I started meeting other poets and meeting coaches who push my writing. And it's like, your writing is well, but where are you in it? And then I started writing about my life. And once I started doing that, I never ran out of material to write about. It's always something else I could write about.
That's amazing. Because a lot of writers don't typically write about themselves, right? So I never assume when I'm listening to a poet recite something, I never assume that it's their story.
Mm.
I
A
never make
lot of,
that assumption.
and I could be. I mean, I'm inspired by so many things. Films, music, books. Just having conversations with other people, controversial issues and things of that nature. So when I'm able to somehow bring that back to me, it's a different experience. However, I can write about so many different things, but the
Mhm.
inspiration is always just life, anything that's happening throughout the day. Like it's amazing that I could be in the same city, same place with another person, and they have a completely different outlook on life than I do. I would love
Mhm.
to capture that if I can.
Right. I mean, because it's about writing it um, from the same story from a different perspective,
Yes,
right? So it's the same. We know this concept, but the way that you put the words together to get to this concept is
exactly.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, because hey, I have to say when I heard the whole period piece, I've heard some period poems. I didn't
Yeah.
want to listen, and some I didn't want to hear. I didn't want to hear the period. But I'm sitting in, I'm uncomfortable in. I'm just like, okay, I'm uncomfortable in the audience. And some other was when I heard this poem, I was like, you to put it down. You understand what I'm saying? You put it down. I was totally in awe. I wish I had a rewind button. When are they gonna put this up on? Can I see? Because I mean, the energy there. The thing about like slam, a lot of the times, like when people are slamming, you only have this. Well, let's talk about slam first, right? Let's talk about slam.
Yeah.
Okay, let's first ask. Okay, so you were a writer first, so you were writing since third grade.
Mhm.
How did you discover poetry slam?
I was thrown directly into slam poetry as soon as I got to college. I started. I went to Montclair State University. I started in 2009, and I meet this poet by the name of Tyleek Rayleigh. His stage name is Tig at the time. So he's like, hey, if you write poetry, and I'm like, yeah, I love to write poetry. I perform, but I don't know what slam is, but I know how to
Mhm.
perform. And he's like, okay, why don't you come to this poetry group we have? They have a group on the campus called Speaking Through Silence.
Mhm.
I go. They have their weekly meetings. You have your readings. They go around and they give you something to write about. You can read, so on and so forth. I read this poem that I wrote, and as soon as I finished, I never forget this poem by the name of Angel Cruz, still in my life, love her to death. And she was like, "That's a slam poem." So I
Hmm.
looked at her, I said, "What the hell is a slam poem?" And she was like, "A slam poem is a poem you can compete with. Like you got a lot of heavy bars, a lot of good flow with that one. You need to compete with that one." I said, "Okay, let me go out here and see what this slam life is about." And I got my ass whooped consecutively. All year I was getting my ass handed to me in these competitions. It was at that time I was writing like 4 or 5 minute ballads. So you telling me 3 minutes, I'm not trying to hear that. Like
Mm-hmm.
they
So
were not
you
feeling
had
my shit at
time
all.
penalty.
I got time penalty so bad I shouldn't even went up there and did the damn poem. I could have just sat down and gained more points for real.
Wow. I mean, it is difficult to stay in that the 3 minute. So now, okay, so now do you do features or you primarily write to compete?
Well, I never write to compete. I always write poems just because I feel like the poem needs to be done. Something needs to be said. It's something that I can't really hold in. I got to get it out. And once I feel like, okay, this is a good poem, maybe this will do well in slam, and I may customize it specifically for
Mm-hmm.
slam,
Mm-hmm.
and I may have a version of it for slam, and I may have a version of it that I do for features. But both are both I do at the same time. So I'm doing features nonstop, and I do slams as well. I think that they're both great ways to get myself out there. As far as
Mm-hmm.
slam, there's nothing like slam as far as network, getting your name
Right.
out there and staying sharp on your performance. And when you feature, it's just a when you feature, you just are able to connect with your audience for a lot longer. You're able to get a lot more into. Like I said, slam 3 minutes, 10 seconds. I gotta get off of here. But when I'm featuring, you get to hear me. I don't have to. I don't have to come with the heavy bars and all that. I could come to you with a sweet ballad. I could talk to you, but I could do haikus all night if I want to for my features. So, I do both of them. But I never write for slam specifically. I don't write
That's
for
great.
competition.
That's great. So would you say then that you are a slam poet? Is that the title that you would give yourself?
I'm a writer. I'm a writer.
Right.
I've been a poet since I was a child, but I'm a writer. And once I discovered that I was a slam poet, I loved it, and that's what I decided that I'm gonna keep going with that. But there's so much more I want to do. I can write novels. I would love to write screenplays. I would love to. Hell, I write anything. I write recipes, journal entries. It don't matter. I love writing. I have people come up to me and ask me to write songs for them. No problem. If it's something that I can do, I'll write. But the pen and the paper, that's gonna be with me for life.
Me too. So when you write, like, what is your process? Are you writing? Okay, so like, for instance, are you using a pen and paper to write? Or are you typing on a computer to write? You use the pen. You with the pen.
Yes, I cannot type shit. I can't do that. I don't know how people do that. I don't know how people can sit down. Even before poetry, like even in school, I don't understand how people can type out an essay and you don't know what you're writing yet. Like, no, I got to draft it out first. I got to cross some things out. I need to be able to get it out on paper first. Excuse me. And then I'm able to type it. But anytime we have like a, writing session, poetry meeting or anything, my teammates always laugh at me for that. It's nothing but laptops around, and I'm just sitting here with a notebook and a pen, and I'll do whatever I need to do right here on my pen and paper first. I cannot do it on the computer.
Yeah, I am a writer like that too. Sometimes I can, if I'm at work, sometimes I might be able to type something, but I can't write it like I would write. I can't type it like I would write it, right? So it's like broken. It's like, to me, it's like broken energy. Like if I'm writing it on the paper, I can get it out better than on the screen.
Yes.
Yeah, because it's like broken. I don't know, like the typing is distraction. I don't know. But if that's the only outlet I have at the time when I'm supposed to be working, but I'm typing a poem. So
and that's like I have a line and I know this is a good line, but this one word I can interchange it. Maybe it's like 3 words I can end on. With the paper, I can put all 3 of my words here. And on the computer, it just look like your thought is just real unfinished. It's real intimidating. I like my paper. Give me a paper and pencil any day.
When I do workshops, I make everybody bring pen and paper.
Yeah.
Yeah. When any of my workshops, I'll be like, bring your pen and your paper. If you don't have it, I have it for you. Yeah.
That's
it's
right.
just something about, I don't know, for me, it's something tangible about it when you have it in your hand.
Because you put so much shit in your phone. Like half the time you type a text message, you don't even hit send. So who's to say you're gonna really come back and check that note and be like, let me finish writing this out. I'm not gonna lie. When you have like a quick thought, a quick concept, or like a good line comes to you out of nowhere, yeah, I'll jot that down on my phone. But even then, when I'm home, the first thing I do is write that line out on paper and build from there.
Okay, so definitely a writer.
Yes.
So what was your favorite subject in school? In grade school, not college. Like, think back to the childhood, grade school.
Always been the same thing, math.
Math?
Yes, really? I know. I am a numbers geek. I am a numbers geek. And the reason I did not like language arts and shit like that is because even to this day, if you tell me, if you try to ask me what is the correct way to use a comma, I have no idea. My mama told me when you writing, when you're talking, you take a little space, that's when you put your comma. That's what I believe. That's how I've been writing ever since. So, but with math always just made so much sense to me. Like, it didn't matter where the hell I was. It didn't matter what I was doing. I know 1 + 1 is always going to equal 2, no matter what. Like it. And then what I loved about math is like when I realized the things that I learned last year, I couldn't just forget. I had to apply that to next year and keep on building on top of that and building on top of that. But numbers all day.
Yeah, somebody said I definitely would have thought. See, they was thinking me. I was like, I definitely would have thought like you literature or something like that. Like,
it's crazy. English and history never have. I do well in those classes, but those have never been the classes I'm excited to go to. Math and sciences all day. I can do that all day.
Wow. So, who was your favorite teacher in school?
Ooh. Oh man, I got a few.
Okay.
I was All right, so in my city, my family has been in my. I'm from East Orange, New Jersey. It's a very small city. It's growing. You know, we getting gentrified now, so the white people find out about it. You know, but my family has been here for quite some time. My English teacher in 8th grade was my father's English teacher. You know,
Wow.
yeah, teachers in high school had beef with my mama because she they owed her some money and she already said when she see them it's gonna be a problem. So it was real. My family is real weird. Like this city was very much so. If you've been here, your parents know who your teachers are. You know, we all know each other. My first my first teacher that I just loved was Miss Barnes. That was my pre-K teacher. This is the first woman that ever showed me a Disney movie. Never forget it. It was Aladdin. I loved her for it. Then in elementary school, I would have to say elementary school. It was so many of them, but who was my favorite elementary school? That's a hard one to crown right there. I don't know. I would have to say Miss Neblet. Miss Neblet was just she was very, very stern. She didn't clap her hands. She only did 2 fingers. You know, she did shit like that.
Wow.
Yeah, you know, she did shit like that. But I liked it. And then as I got older, I liked more rebellious teachers. So middle school was a teacher who felt like the curriculum wasn't challenging us enough. So he taught us extra things. I enjoyed him. And in high school, Miss Nichols. Miss Nicholas was the first Black woman I've ever seen in chemistry. And she motivated so many young Black children in my class. I don't know about, I can say so many more, but I just know a lot of my friends, we would have never went to college and done science if it wasn't for Miss Nicholas.
Nice.
Like she loved her job and the way that she taught, the way that she loved it, it made us love it too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I always like to go back to, and have you to thinking about what influenced you, right? So sometimes the encouragement, like when you're young, sometimes those teachers, they're the encourager that make you, move to your next step. And sometimes we don't even think about them.
When it came to my writing, my mom was very much so. My mom has always fed that. That was something she was very awesome with, as far as like reading her kids well and knowing what they love. So she's always said to me when I was younger, like she's like, you know what? I know you love drawing, I know you love dancing, but you're gonna be a writer, and I already know you're gonna be a writer. And she's always said that to me.
Wow.
She has consistently said. So anytime I did anything with the writing, it was always 110% support. You know, you want to do poetry? Let's do it. You want to write a book? Okay, no problem. Let me get you in these classes. Let me see if we can get you in these things. It was never anything that I wanted to do with my art. Even now, like the poems that I thought I can't read this poem in front of my mother. She loved it. Her favorite poem by me was a poem about a hooker, and she's loved that poem for years. She makes me perform it in front of my grandmother. I'm like, Mommy, I can't perform this in front of Mom. She's like, that's my favorite poem. Yes, you can. This is my day. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Wow. I love that type of support.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times, you don't really get that because poetry is a lot of times looked at like a hobby. It's like you can do that, but you got to get a job and do something else. Like that's cute. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, I hear a lot of young people saying that their parents are not, it's like, we know you can write, but you need to get a job, like try to figure out how to make some money on that situation.
And it was that not necessarily from the parents, but from other people in the family. How's your little poetry thing, and things of that nature. And when I'm coming up, I don't realize these are very, very offensive remarks. But then it was the joy of showing y'all. Not only am I not going to stop doing this, like I'm going to show you that I can put food on my table with this, no problem.
Right.
I don't have to ask y'all for shit, and I would even tell them like my family would come to my shows, and then the whole attitude would change. Different. It's like it's something. Even if you think it's small, you can't help but notice how big the impact was. That's all that matters. That's all that matters.
And I think a lot of times, like for instance, I'll use Mary J. Blige for an example, right? So Mary J. Blige can sing, but she's not the best singer I know, right? Yeah. But when she sings, you can feel it because she's singing from the experience, she's singing from the soul, she's singing from the heart, right? So you can. It's something different about like anybody can recite a poem, right?
Yes.
Anybody can recite a poem. but the way that you can make people feel, right, relate to, experience, like, you know, like, it's not even my experience, it never happened to me, I don't know anybody that this happened to, but you're saying it, so now it's an experience for me, right?
Yes.
So it's a difference, like when you see like, I would say, like, not necessarily for me, if I would have been describing you or giving you a title, I would say, you know, a performance of poetry, right? Not a slam poet, but a performance of, because I'm feeling it, right? So it's something that happened, but it's the performance of it now, right? So that's the
And
way I would more describe it.
and like I watch shows now, and I love seeing shows that kind of like they kind of make spoofs of slams, you know, like of slam poets.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you know, like this one, I love Parks and Recreation, and she's like, a slam poem just sounds like this, and I, so it's funny to see what people think slam poetry is and what their definition is, and then seeing people who are like, no, like slam poetry is so much more than that. It is performance poetry. Is when you go up there, your job is to perform and give people a good show. Like, perform, lean into that shit, you know. And then there's some people that's just like, nah, a slam poem just means that you're screaming it and you're loud and you're angry, and it's like, dude, it's really not that at all. But okay.
Wow. So listen, let's break down your bio a little bit. So let's talk about your topics, right? So you talk about civil rights, which we know what that is. So tell us what body positivity is to you and what sex positivity is to you.
Okay. I've always been a fat woman. I was born fat. I ain't never been nothing. As soon as I came out, I was a double digit baby. I've always been a chunky motherfucker. And growing up, my dad is a fat guy too. He's a big guy, and I'm look just like him, splitting in it. And because he was so big, and I'm a daddy's girl, I'm thinking this is awesome. Being big, obviously, is the shit. Like I've never grown up and somebody wanted something smaller. That's never happened. So I remember vividly being taught that being fat was not something that people thought was a good thing. That was something that you had to, something was wrong. You had to fix that. And I'm like, well, no, why do I have to fix that? Oh, well, you know, because if you're big, then you're not gonna be able to do X, Y, and Z. Okay, well, let me show you that I can do X, Y, and Z then, and still be big. Oh yeah, but you know, I mean, okay, so you can do that, but then it started changing. Okay, well, you could be so great and be so successful if you were smaller because people would find you more attractive. And I'm like, okay, so that's what you think then. Like, so I realized that for a long time that impacted my self-esteem, as I'm pretty sure a lot of people have gone through. You know, when you're not when you're not the standardized beauty, what people see as beauty in America, then of course you feel like you are not beautiful.
Wow.
So that hit my self-esteem for a very long time. And I remember one day in high school just being fed up, and I'm like, you know what? I'm about to go out to this party. And I'm really getting tired of not dancing the way I want to dance because I think I would just pretend to not give a damn what nobody think about me. I ain't gonna give a fuck what nobody think. I ain't give a fuck what nobody say. Let me just go out here and see how I do this. I had so much fun that night that I never stopped doing it.
Hey.
I always pretended that I just didn't give a shit what nobody said. Let me just not care. And one day I didn't have to pretend anymore. And it was something like, okay, it was more than just but I know a lot of people think body positivity is just embracing a body that is a big body, but it isn't. It's loving your skin that you are in no matter what that looks like, bruises, even if you're 90 pounds soaking wet, if you're 900 pounds, or if you're 5 feet, 4 feet, 7 feet, it doesn't matter. It's being able to say, I'm in this body and I'm going to show love to it. Even if I don't like it some days. I may not like it today, but you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to soak in this bathtub for 2 hours because I want my skin to be soft small. Let me just do something that makes my body feel good. And I love how people have done different renditions of that. Some people use nudes as a way of celebrating their body, which I love. Some people just some people just go out and they just want to buy certain lingerie, certain oils, but all of these things is a form of body positivity to me. It's a way of showing your body love. It's made it through another day. It's still here, you know. No matter if you may not dig what it looked like, but that motherfucker ain't never let you down. So moisturize her tonight, let sleep naked, let the air hit it,
Right.
love it. And when you do that, you'll be surprised how much energy is returned to you. Like, okay, seeing how you showing so much love to your body's going to start showing love to you.
Mm-hmm.
And then all these other factors in the universe start coming in and showing love for your body as well. And sex positivity is the same thing. A lot of people feel like sex positivity is being able is going out and being very promiscuous with whomever. And if that's the way that you show your sex positivity, by all means. But for me, sex positivity is also having the power. It's not just sleeping with whomever you want. It's not sleeping with whomever you don't want to sleep with either.
Right.
It's the power of saying no to somebody.
Right.
I don't want to do that right now. Or it doesn't matter if this is not something that other people would find permission. This feels good to me. This is what I'm going to do right here with this particular person or these groups of people or whatever. So if everybody always feels as though it's one thing, but people who are abstinent are still very sex positive. People who are asexual and are happy about and celebrate that. Very, very proud of their sex. That's sex positivity. Is being able to say in the body that you are in, you are worthy of whatever sex you want to have or do not want to have.
Right. Come on with it. You just gave us a whole, when I say you gave us a whole word, for real. For real.
Because it takes a while to learn that. Navigating my sex life in this body has been very different. It's not the average story that most people would tell, but you got to find whatever works for you, whatever it is that you want. And it takes time to figure that out. It does. There's nobody jumps up and just knows exactly what the hell they want. It takes time to explore that. Take that time. It's worth it. Show love to yourself in all ways.
Yes. Like my favorite part is you said, let me just pretend like. So it's pretending like it's seeing what that feels like, right? So you're pretending like you don't care what other people say. And then one day you don't, right?
I understand, and I say this to a lot of people, and especially in workshops or classes that I facilitate, especially with other artists. I understand people may not like it, but the whole fake it till you make it trope, that shit works. That's what a lot of these celebrities do. They don't be real. They just faking it till they make it. And you could do that with yourself. You may not feel like you the best motherfucking thing since sliced bread, but bitch, when you walk in here, you better pretend that you are the best thing since sliced bread. Feel it and believe it, and go ahead. If you say it, who am I to deny it? I'm gonna have to believe it because you said it. We don't froze up.
Don't worry, we you know what? Hopefully she will be right back.
No problem.
Hey, so I love that statement about fake it till you make it, or until everyone starts believing that we are as great as we think we are.
Yeah, you ain't gotta fake it no more. It works. It works. I always tell people that, especially when you in the line of work that we are, when you go onto that stage, confidence goes a long way. And I understand you may not feel confident. You may not feel confident in doing this piece or at this time. But like I said, once you step on that stage, if you tell me you the shit and I'm sitting in the audience, I have to believe that you're the shit. That's what you said to me.
That's true. So you bring up a good point about stepping to the stage. One of the questions I always ask in my interviews is, and you touched on it a little bit already. I always ask a question about, tell me about the first time you performed a poem on stage.
Ooh.
And like how you felt about it before and after, if you remember.
The first time that I performed on stage was in did poetry on stage, because I was in a performing arts school in elementary. So every year I was on stage doing a play. But poetry in high school, one of my English teachers saw that I had a really, really good knack for poetry, if you will. Any assignments that we did for poetry, I'm passing that with flying colors,
Right.
And there was another student as well by the name of Kareem. He was also very well. So they said they wanted us to, share our poems. And you did good when your friends is bigging you up, when they, your friends are cheering for you, they having, oh, I really like that poem, I want you to write something for me. And then it was different for me because it was teachers coming up to me like, I like what you said.
Oh wow.
that was so much different. That just shut me up for a while.
Did you feel any nerves or like apprehension before you got on stage?
All the time. There's even to this day, there's not a moment that I step on stage and I'm not nervous. I don't.
You said that. I love that you
Yeah,
said
it's not a day. And there was a poet, I don't remember his name. I met him at Southern Fried, and I never forget what he said.
Mhm.
And he said, he's like, if you ever walk into an area and you go on stage or you about to perform and you're not nervous, you're not supposed to be there. If you're not nervous, then you're not supposed to be there. That nervousness is just you showing respect for where you are. That's all that is. It's having that much respect for the spaces they're in.
Mm.
Blew my mind. So I knew then, like, and it's never ever failed. Anytime that I walked to an area and I didn't have that nervous, those butterflies in my stomach, it wasn't a performance that I like to remember. So
I love that you say that because, I host events and you've probably been at events where somebody in the audience will walk up to you and go, "Oh my God, I could never do that." And so I always like to hear poets tell people, no, we weren't always this.
And poets always say that, "Oh, Radi, you lying, you ain't nervous, you always saying that." That's why I don't say it no more. But I'll be nervous as hell. If people really knew what was going on, they would not talk to me before a show. My nerves is all over the place. That's why I'm usually outside. I'm trying to smile, talk to people. I'll take a smoke because I'm not trying to think about what we're about to do on the stage up here.
I get that. I get that. I remember when I saw you at Wouts, you were walking out, and I'm like, "Yep, I can't stop her," because like I don't know exactly where you was going, but I'm like, you greeting people. I love you. I'll see you later. But I get it.
I'll be nervous as hell. I'll be so nervous, and it's always a good thing for me. It's not something. At first, I would try to run away from the nervousness, but now I lean into it.
Yep.
I'm happy that I'm nervous. It feels good.
I always tell people I'm nervous. My nerves are at the height. New crowd, old poems. Like poems I know, like off the top of my head. New crowd, I'm shaking in my boots like nothing. Crowd I know, and a new poem. Oh Lord, forget it. I think I'm more nervous in the second situation than the first.
Any new poem, I'm nervous. It don't matter who you are. Anytime it's new, I have no idea how it's going. Because as the writer, you know how it looks to you. You know how it feels to you when you're saying, and you know how you want it to feel and look when you're giving it out. But you have no idea how other people are perceived. None whatsoever.
I get it. I think KaNikki is back. We have thunderstorms for anyone that is not in the Washington, D.C. area. There are thunderstorms coming through the area. So I'm guessing that's what happened.
Yes. I would tell everybody that the word that Radi was putting down was so fire that it knocked my computer off. That's what I was like, what? I was like, yeah. No, what? Yeah. So yeah, thunder and lightning, and then I was gone.
Oh, okay. So I will exit stage left. I'll be back later.
All right.
Wow. Yeah, that's what I'm gonna tell everybody. I'm gonna be like, the word that was so fired that the computer shut down. The computer was like, I can't take it no more. And it is real. It is real over here.
So look, a fun fact, right? So me being my gay ass self, before I was Radi, my stage name was actually Thunder. And that is what Radi means. That's how I got the name Radi. It means thunder.
I was going to ask that. I was going
look at that.
That was going to be my next question. Like, why Radi? Okay, well then why Radi in all caps then?
So the name was given to me by my line sister. I pledged a performing arts fraternity, the only performing arts fraternity in New Jersey, which was started by artists that I really looked up to. And in the process, they gave me the name. So that's how I got Radi. And Radi, in the beginning, I didn't capitalize anything. And then it was just like, I remember seeing my name capitalized on a flyer. And I'm like, I really like the way that looks. It looks a little bit more powerful. Because it's a small name, 4 letters. And then it's like me. I'm small, but I'm powerful as shit. I'm big as hell. So it's like, my name need to represent that. You need to know that even though it's a small little name, it's just right. That shit is on all caps because it's big. It's powerful. Right. You don't know what's coming. That's why I do it.
That's amazing. Okay, I don't know what happened to any of my questions, so I'm just gonna wing it, right? I was like, oh Lord, I hope somebody on here. If not, I hope that Radi's doing a poem or something. I don't know what's happening. So let me say, who taught you how to be or what a woman was?
I mean, naturally, I would definitely go back to my mother and grandmother. My family is a very heavy. I know this is a very patriarchal society we're living in, but my family is very matriarchal. Very. The women in my family are the heads of household in all ways,
Mm-hmm.
always. So I've always had that notion that a woman is here to lead. That is our job. That when you are in a, you're here. I've never, my mother and grandmother, I've never used the word submissive to describe them. They have never been those types of women. Not that there's anything wrong with that whatsoever, but they're very, very
Do you hear
strong.
that thunder? I'm trying to say.
Look, not only do I hear it, I just got a little notification on my phone that we about to
Right.
get
I'm
some
just saying,
thunderstorms.
if it shut down, listen, if it shut down again, y'all know what's going on.
But even with that, my mom was very much so. It was certain things that she did. You know, when parents have a way of saying, "I want you to learn this because this is what a lady does. This is what a woman is supposed to do, especially in her household with her family." And sometimes it stuck, sometimes it didn't. Most times it didn't. It was a lot of things that she was doing naturally, and I'm thinking, and uh, uh, I saw the aura in her of like, okay, that's what it is. This is the womanhood part that I need to understand more about.
Right.
Um, I didn't understand how the hell can you come home after a long day of work and you still cook and the food is good, and not only is the food good, but you make sure that everyone is fed, and you do this with literally $30 in your damn pocket.
Mm-hmm.
That was something different. It was me growing up, and I didn't know anything about. I didn't know, like, it was a lot of things that she did where I had no idea that you struggled like that. Like, I didn't. I would have never known. And she did things that were above and beyond a lot of things. Even though she was very much so, she has a very hustling spirit. I've never known my mother to work a job for 2 weeks and not be promoted up immediately.
Wow.
Like, I don't know how the hell she does it, but she's always done that. So, and then when I got out into the world, I started meeting women who I loved and seeing how womanhood was more than just what I was being showed at home. It was different things that I loved about women. I love certain masculinity in womanhood. I think that that's something that a lot of people didn't celebrate enough to me. That they always made it seem like womanhood came with this divine femininity, and in a way it did, but it was also another energy there too. That masculine energy was also in womanhood, and I love that. The women in my family are fighters, delicate little women, but they will knock your ass out. Like,
Okay.
that's who they are, and it's never, that's never interfered with their womanhood. That's never interfered with this. It came packaged. So it was learning that. It was like, wow, meeting different women, everyone had their own way of standing in their womanhood. So that all just contributed to it. And nowadays, people have taken womanhood and completely just taken the boundaries off of it altogether. You
Right.
know, so it's like now, anything that you were taught, it for me, it only contributes to your womanhood if you learn the lesson within the experience. If not, then, just going through life. That's
Mm-hmm.
it.
Yes, I love that. Okay. Yeah, I like when I ask a good question and get a good answer. I like it because I think sometimes my dad taught me a lot about about what being a woman was, right? So sometimes people say if you're not that, you can't teach that. But my dad taught me about being respectable, about being a woman of my word, right? So say that's all you have. That's your word, and about protecting my reputation, right? You have to think about your reputation and not just what you're doing, but what it looks like and how your reputation follows you, right? So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a lot. My dad taught me a lot about being a woman.
My mother and grandmother was very much so. You don't take shit from nobody. Like, it wasn't snap and be angry, but you don't. And I think as black women, that's something that we needed to know. Like, don't let anyone push you beyond your comfort zone. You don't let that shit happen.
Mm-hmm.
You do what you do in comfort. don't be disrespectful. Don't, like one thing my mother would always say, especially in school, you don't be disrespectful in class or in school. But let's say, for instance, you have to use the restroom and they're telling you that you can't. You get your ass up and you go to the bathroom.
You go, right.
It was don't take that shit. You don't let anyone make you sit in something that makes you uncomfortable or makes you feel like you are being harmed, or they don't, do what you got to do. Don't take no shit, that. So I definitely understood that.
Okay. Oh shoot, I was trying to find my questions again, but they not there. They not there.
I love
but
the professionalism.
I know in your bio you brought to life. Okay, like so for one of my jobs, I do human resource. I do hiring. I do recruiting, and then sometimes I can look at the resume and I know if they're Black, right? Just by their name, I know if they're Black, right? So that's your bio. You wrote in your bio that you are a fat Black lesbian, right? Yep. You wrote it in there. So we know we don't know who you are. You're booking a show. We read your bio. There's no photo, but we know because you wrote it in your bio. That's what made you put that in your bio? And are you bringing that as a writing tool to the stage? Like you're saying, I'm fat Black lesbian, right? And then do we expect to see that or hear that in your poetry set?
You damn right. You're gonna hear it all day. And the reason I wrote that specifically, and I love that you caught that, because at first I would put, a woman of color, a person of color, in the LGBT community, queer, and it was like, nah, fuck that. There was a Kenneth something from Slamageddon. Love him too. Kenneth was the first poet who stood up, first non-hetero poet to stand and tell me straight up, I am not a part of the LGBT community. I don't know what the fuck that is. I don't know what that is. I don't do none of that. And he, and the way he described it was like, okay, I understand that. I can definitely understand that. It also sparked a line in one of my poems where it was like, LGBTQ was never behind me. They just put Black in a pride flag. That's the truth. A lot of times, especially being a Black woman, when I'm around a lot of gay events, I definitely experience racism. It don't matter. You can't take this shit off. And then phrases like woman of color, that it describes a lot of women that don't look like me. And a lot of women who, when women who are look like me, when we go through shit, other women of color don't really come to us and have our backs the way we need to. They don't really fight the way we need to when we need them to fight for us. And Black women, I feel like we show up in everybody's fight. We show up in everybody's fight.
We do.
It don't matter who the hell you is. It don't matter what type of pressure you face. We have always shown up and been there to fight in some type of way for another group that was equally, that was not half as much as oppressed as we are. But we're still there. We're still doing it. So I wanted to make that very clear. And like I said, I understand there are certain ways that people like to describe their bodies. You want to be plus size, you want to be chunky. I'm fat. That's not a bad thing. It's just a fact. And I think that there's a stigma with the word fat. People want to make, oh no, you're not fat. You're just this and that. No, I am. Just like a person who is 6 feet is tall and a person who is 4 feet is short, I am a fat woman. It's a fact. It's nothing for me to, it's nothing for me to, shake my head about or shame or shy away from. I am a fat Black lesbian. I don't ever want you to think when you see LGBT that you got to guess which one I am. I'm a lesbian. That's it. I'm the woman.
I'm the
L. That's who I am. And I understand that sexuality is fluid, but that's how I identify. When you approach me, I would like for you to have that in your mind. I don't want you to just think. Because when people say queer, I always ask, queer how? What does that mean? And I understand some people don't like to put labels on it. I don't want to put a label on it. That's why I identify as queer. Sexuality is fluid. Great, I get it. Sexuality is very fluid with me, with other women. That's all. It's very fluid with women. With men, ain't no fluid there for me. I ain't got no fluid. I ain't got no fluid.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious.
And the men are handsome too. I love a nice looking man to just stand there and lift something up for me. I love a strong man. Pick something up, sit it down. I love it.
Hilarious. Okay. If you are building a poetry set, and somebody said, Radi, I need you to come and do just a little poetry set, right? You know, a little spotlight. We're gonna do a little spotlight for the Obamas right now. What 3 poems do you pick that you have right now? You don't have time to write right now. What 3 poems do you pick? And then you're not gonna give us the poems. Tell us the titles and what those poems are about.
Definitely would do Die. Dyedie. It's called you can spell it whichever way you want to, but it's called Die. It is a poem about colorism in America. Just playing back and forth with that, how it shapes so much, and not even in America. Colorism as a whole, colorism in the world, because it's not just America. As much as I would like to focus there, it's everywhere. I would do middle school. I think that I think that children and students are completely underrepresented and overlooked, and I don't understand how that can happen, especially at this time, especially with the pandemic hitting. I think there's so many ways that we've let the students down, and I would definitely do She Can't Sleep, which is a poem that I wrote for Black women going through the pandemic. I've noticed that a lot of I don't know if you've noticed it, but a lot of Black women had sleeping problems.
I have noticed that
when quarantine hit, and I don't think a lot of people can feel the effects of quarantine and you know the shutdown and COVID and all of that, but the mental effects when you add it all up, everything stacked on top of each other, going through that and still going through police brutality and seeing that on the news every other day, and now you have to. A lot of people went outside of the house to escape from certain things, or they came home to escape from the outside. And it was like that no longer existed. You know, your children are struggling with certain things because they're not able to be in school. Anything that and as the adult, it's not like you can really sit in and help them the way you want to if you have a job that requires you to be there. If they labeled you an essential worker and you had no opportunity to work from home. And if you had another partner there who was helping you in the family, then that was great. But like I said, that didn't always work out for everyone. So I would definitely do those 3. Just to, I think that'll show. It'll be a clear way for me to show what I feel like is very, very important and needs to be addressed in this country. Children, Black women, and colorism across the board. If I had a poem about capitalism, that motherfucker would be right up in there too. And it's coming.
Definitely.
Yeah, because capitalism is the devil. That is the devil.
And I ask that question because a lot of times as poets, we may be good poets, we may be good performance poets, but we don't know our audience. So we don't know how to choose the right poems for those audiences, right? So that's why I did that example, because I know that you can do it, right? You're going to choose the right poems because you're choosing what message you want to give. At the end of this is the message that I want to give, right?
Yeah, like I mean, I'm in front of the Obamas. I want Michelle and Barack. I want them to like me. I want to entertain them, but I also want y'all to know I still don't fuck with a lot of shit that y'all do on a political level. You know, politics are nasty, and I'm gonna let you know that.
Exactly. So that is definitely one of the questions that I ask. Like, what's the makeup of your audience members? If it's a show that you are repeating, what's the makeup of your audience? That helps me choose what poems I want to do, right? I don't want to get there and then say, I'm looking around trying to figure out what type of audience this is, and then I practice certain pieces and then those pieces don't go, right? So definitely, choosing your poetry to go with your audit or your audience is the way to advance, right? The way to advance. I mean, because you can be, I'll say, I don't really curse in my poetry, right? But some of my poetry is not church related, right? But I can come to your church, right? So it's not, I be cursing, but when I be talking about, Jesus is okay with it, but the church folks ain't. You understand? So sometimes you got to be like, I can, I know how to act in church. I can come to your church too. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna act right. I'm gonna represent you right? So you can still book me for your church, right? So sometimes you just have to know your specific audience. So I'll ask you, who is your poetry for?
Ooh. Off bat, my poetry is definitely for people who look like me in any way, shape, or form. If you identify with being fat, black, gay, or a woman, I have a poem for you. It don't even matter. You don't gotta be all four. You ain't even gotta be two at a time. You can just be one. I got something for you. And it is definitely for my poetry is for people who feel as though poems are not about them. For people who feel as though they don't like poetry. Oh, I don't really get down with poetry, but I love hip hop. Then you like poetry.
Mm-hmm.
I don't really get down with poetry, but I like this. Nigga, that's poetry too. And that's the thing, is like you probably think that there's not a poem for you. People hear poetry and they automatically go to some Shakespearean language or
Right.
like, something metaphor. But it's like, bro, it's a poem about a Kansas City pimp with your name on it, bro. Like
Right.
it's poems
Right.
with broken English, gutter language. They talk just like you and me on the fucking street, and it is still beautiful literature. That's who I write poems for. I love meeting people. I love when I walk into a show and there are people there who don't like poetry. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm so happy that you gave me a chance, that you came out to the show. Let me see if I can change your mind. Even if I can't change your mind, you probably can't relate to what I'm saying, but I'm pretty sure you heard something different. And if you did hear something different, keep on pushing yourself to find a different artist until you find that artist that resonates with you.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's always a poem for you. No matter what you going through, no matter what type of life you live, there is a poem for it. As raw as you want it to be.
I could write a whole poem on "There's Always a Poem for You." That could be a whole
It's always.
that could be a whole writing prompt.
People think there is no poem that can talk about the parts of their lives and that's another thing. A lot of people feel like there's certain things that they go through personally that other people just can't relate to. And once I realized that I felt that way too, because I'm a human, I felt the same way. And I would start writing about these things. And these are the poems that got me deeply connected to my audience. Because it was like, I'm glad you put that out there. And here I am thinking I'm just putting out my story, but it's not just my story. This woman here in the third row can understand exactly what I said. They understood this line. This gentleman back here understood what I said. It's people who hit me up grown like, hey, I love your poem middle school. That was me when I was a kid. That was me as a student. That means a lot to me. I'm sorry that you didn't get to hear this as a student, but I'm so happy you got to hear something that resonated with you. There is a poem for you. You just got to find it. It's there.
I'm gonna write that down too. I see my team is already recorded. I'm gonna write that down. That might be in my workshop. So speaking of workshops, what type of workshops do you teach?
Okay, yeah. So I love performance workshops. My performance workshops are the ones that I enjoy the most. No, I'm not going to say the most because my last one is the one I just had. I have a workshop where I help people with group pieces. I show people how to write group pieces, which I think is very, very fucking dope. Like, you could be a bomb ass artist, but if you are able to merge your dopeness with another artist's dopeness, whole new level. Like, that shit is crazy. Because I've seen a lot of people try to write group pieces and that shit don't work out. I have been a victim of that too. Like, it don't work. And so yes, I have the performance workshop, the group pieces, and writing funny poems. How to write a funny poem, bringing comedy and humor into your pieces. Because I think I know a lot of poets, they trying to be funny, but that shit don't be funny. That shit do not be funny. And coming from Jersey, and it's a blessed thing to come up in. Jersey poets have comedy in a lot of our poems. Funny poems will win you over in Jersey no matter what. If you're able to make a person laugh here, because it's a very hard crowd, so if you're able to get them to chuckle a little bit, you are going to go very, very far with it. And like my coach, Chris Flomentus Cook, he had a whole poem called Constipation. Fucking hilarious. Hilarious. And that's the poem that changed my life. I didn't even know who he was until he was right in front. He was literally sitting in front of me like, give me a poem that changed your life, as my coach. And I'm describing his poem and didn't even know it was him.
Wow.
Because it was like, it blew my mind. Here I am watching Def Poetry Jam, and in Def Poetry, everybody has a certain aura. You came with that shit when you got to Def Poetry. You didn't hear anything lighthearted. And here's this guy comes up, and he's doing a whole poem about being constipated. And he's not even talking about being the person constipated. He's doing it as the shit. He's literally doing it. He's personifying shit and talking about clogging up this person. And the crowd went crazy to him. And it was the first time I ever seen a poem of that was funny, that wasn't about anything painful, that wasn't about anything that was really, really deep, or and it was met with so much love and respect. And it's like, you know what? I didn't know you could do that with poetry. I didn't know you could do that.
Wow.
I didn't know you could write about things like that.
Mm.
And then when I dug more into the roots of poetry here in Jersey, I found so many art like that. We've been doing that for years. We know how to do that. We know how to make something seem funny as hell, and it still be a message in it. or maybe it's not a thought provoking message, but it's still an entertaining ass fucking. It's an entertaining poem, man. So yes, I love doing that. I love showing people how to get that humor in their poems that they want, especially when they, if they come, because a lot of people come up to me and ask me that. So I'm like, you know what? Let me see if I can show people how to do it,
Right,
and turn it into a class.
Wow. Yeah, I definitely was smiling and laughing, doing some of your poems, and yes, so you definitely have, mastered that yourself. So I can see you being able to teach that as well.
Thank you.
Yes. So, how do you memorize your poems?
Memorization, well, for me, it's mandatory. My coach will not. If you don't got to perform, if you don't have it memorized, he ain't trying to hear that shit. He'll let you know that right now. He is not trying. If you still reading it, you got to come off the paper. And I understand why. I understand his method, why he does that, and why he does that with us. And I understand that for me, it works for me because once I'm holding a paper, I feel like my energy kind of stops where this paper is. I feel like I can't go past it. And that's just for me. I know a lot of artists who can give you bountiful energy with a paper. Saul Williams is one of those who do it. Jasmine Mans is another one who does it. I've seen just people who are able to read their poems and still give you that energy. Like it sounds memorized. It sounds flawless. It's a flawless read. I do not have that ability, so memorization has to come. Because I like memorization puzzles a lot, so I do have I have a pretty good memory with things like that. But again, pen and paper. I teach myself memorization tricks, and I also do that for my teammates as well. If you're having trouble with a poem, write it out. Sit. Even if you type, sit down, write it out with blue ink. As you're writing this poem, you're saying it in your head, and you don't even notice that you're like, it's like you're reading it 3 times as you're writing it. And I read a study that says that blue is the color that sticks out the most in your mind when it comes to memory. So writing things in blue ink helps you with that, which is why I request, yes, like anytime we're doing a memorization, I always get a pack of blue pens. You got to write it in that blue ink. It'll help you. And if it's a new piece, I'll reading it over and over again. Some people are different. I'll record myself reading the piece and just play it back while I'm writing it, and keep reading it over. If it's a new piece, when you write a new piece and you really love it, so it's not that hard to memorize it, because it's like, damn, I really want to get up there and perform it, so I got to get this down, and it sticks. Once I feel like once you do a poem so much, and it literally just happened this Saturday. Yesterday I was with my teammates and a team member that was on the team years ago. She came. And coach was like, y'all should do that group piece I wrote. Like, coach, we haven't done this shit in years. And she was like, I still remember it. And we read it. And it was like, as soon as I went through the first line, it just came right back.
You remember?
Yep, all of it.
Wow.
It's like your favorite song,
Right.
You may not remember the
here for a long time, but as soon as it plays, yeah.
You hum that melody out, they play that song again, you got it. You right back on that motherfucker.
I'm telling you. So have you seen, talking about like songs, have you seen like a singer or someone in history or a writer you read that you felt like was the most like you?
Oh yeah. I first got into hip hop listening to Rage. I go rough with my afro. Oh my god! When I was smaller, because it was so much stigmatization around people who look like me, I was always intrigued by people who look like me. Who is Queen Latifah? Who is Misdemeanor Elliott? Who was this woman? Who is Mia X? Mama Mia? Who that?
Come on.
Yeah, and then like with the singers, one thing I know, I always thought that when I was small, I always thought that big women sung better. I didn't know why. I'm like, but it
listen,
seemed like with big women.
That's no lie. That ain't no lie. You know, listen, especially in church, you know when the song, you know it's about to go. You already set it up. It's about to go.
And I was waiting for me to learn. Like, is that a secret? Like, when I grow up, am I gonna be able to sing like that? Because it's something about a heavy woman when she sings like that. Shit just shatters things. Oh man! But my mom was was a huge Mary J. Blige fan. That's why I love when you brought her up. So Mary J. Blige, and even like I said, even as a kid, I don't know if it was just me being dramatic or I was just a very passionate kid. But the songs that I liked growing up, they were always deep ass songs. My grandmother and grandfather, we would go on long drives, and they only had 2 cassettes, and that's what they played front to back every time. The greatest hits of Ike and Tina Turner and The Temptations, and that's it. So it was like, all right, these artists definitely got me going. Queen Latifah was she was the mogul in my life for a very long time because of so many things she did. You not only did music and rapped, but you did sing, and you also did jazz, and you also have movies, and you also have your own record label, and you also have a talk show, and you also have sitcoms. It's like exactly. And then to go to school, and they're like, well, you know, Queen Latifah, her mom lived right around the corner. You know, she's from around here, and it's like, get out of here. That's who I want to be. Like that was who I wanted to be when I came up. When I first started artist, I called myself Queen Eye.
I can see that though. When you say that, I can definitely see that though.
Yeah, it was such an inspiration. Like I would even be talking like my father told me like, yeah, I went, you know, I used to go to Dana games. I'm like, who the hell is Dana? Oh, Queen Latifah, that's her name, Dana. Like, what the fuck, y'all just say it like these are just normal people. Like
Dana.
Yes. That's dope.
Wow. So tell me, now think about it now. Think about it. Okay. What are you doing right now that your older self is going to thank you for?
Ooh. So, ever since COVID hit, I've stepped my health game up. You feel me? I've stepped it up.
Come on.
I mean, I'm on my echinacea. I'm on my turmeric daily. You know, I take my garlic extract for the heart. Got to keep the heart pumping. I done went to the doctor and they told me that my blood pressure was optimal. I've never had a doctor say optimal for anything when it came to me. So I'm like, look at me without here with the blood. And I realized I do not like the concept of time. I do not like the idea of people. I feel like when people think about time, they get so stressed out. Mm-hmm. A lot of my peers have felt that, you know, oh, you know, I'm 35. I should have this by now. Or, you know, I'm 22. I shouldn't be in my mama house no more. And it's like, bitch, relax. Like this shit ain't got no rules. We just out here. You know, we trying to have a good old time. But I know for me, somebody said it's not that you're getting older and your body is is just getting older. It's that your body's getting tight. You got to keep loosening it up. So I make stretching every literally wake up in the morning, at least 15 minutes of just nothing but stretching. Just stretch out. And it does wonders for the body. Like a lot of people, I definitely take my hat off to people who get up and do shit like run miles. I don't think I'll ever get there. But, you know, more power to you. More power to y'all.
Especially the ones who run in the cold.
Oh, my God. I mean, I look at the weather and I'm just like, there's no way I can do that. And they just don't know it's a great running day. Get the fuck no. But yeah, stretching, staying up on my vitamins. I've always been a huge tea drinker, but now I stepped my tea game up a lot more. So, you know, before it was just regular black tea, but I love tea now. You give me some oolong, some dandelion, some jasmine tea. I put me some rose in that motherfucker, some sea moss. I'm straight.
Okay.
Yeah,
you're gonna live long, live strong, and healthy. That's what's gonna happen.
And I really enjoyed it. Like I said, like just showing love to my body in ways that I know that, you know, other people, I know that's going to benefit me in the long. I know that because I love this body. I want this motherfucker to stay with me for a long time.
They don't say your health is your wealth for nothing.
Yeah. And I know people be thinking, you know, I'm heavy, so you ain't. They automatically assume that size equals health, and it doesn't. It truly doesn't. A lot of people are extremely healthy who are 350 pounds, and there's people who are unhealthy who aren't. You know, so as far as that, just trying to stay up on my daily regimen. You know, a lot more home cooked meals, getting more sunlight, doing things that's better for your mental health as well. Which I'm so happy. My wife is so big on that. She's been doing so great with her mental health, so that's inspired me to do that more. You know.
Nice.
Yeah, she got me doing journal entries and shit. It's really helping. You know what I'm saying?
You done told me something. I got more questions now. I ain't even know you was married. You done told me something. I got to lean back. How long have you been married?
We have been married for 3 years. We just celebrated our 3rd year together.
Make it real good now. Tell me that you met in the poetry venue. Tell me that poetry gave you your wife.
All right.
Tell me.
All right. I'm not gonna say that poetry got me my wife. What I will say is this: my wife is definitely a big reason that Radi exists. She was the first person to tell me, like, you know, you ain't gotta pretend no more, right? You that motherfucker, just do it. And she was, and she would always look at me like, yo, why you keep holding yourself back? Like, lean into that shit. Be that motherfucker you want to be. Stop holding that shit back. And I'm like, all right, okay, you sure?
Wow.
And the monster was born. There you go.
Child, you
so
know,
definitely
anybody who knows me, you don't know me, but anybody who knows me know I love some love. Right? I love
she made it feel like the confidence that I had wasn't something I needed to shy away from. Like, you don't have to, like I said, I was faking until I make it. And she's like, you don't gotta fake that shit no more. You here. You don't gotta pretend that you are this bitch. You are that bitch.
Wow.
Do it. Just do it now. I'm like, all right,
okay. Speaking of doing it now, I saw a post that you made. And you said, you know what you said, I don't know, I'm paraphrasing, but I don't know exactly what you said, I'm paraphrasing, but you know, you said something like, you know, my rate's about to go up, right?
Y'all know my price done went up. Don't be hitting me up with that shit. They know that.
My prices has went up. So when you're booking a show, like, tell the people what factors into your costs.
Definitely travel and board. You know, getting to where I have to go, and if it's someplace that's further out, where am I staying for the night? You know, definitely something that that should be taken care of. How long am I performing? You know, am I doing a 20-minute set, or do you want me to do an hour set? Is this if this is a local organization, you know, like an organization that community orgs, and they just, you know, they're a community org and they're here to help with the LGBT community, or they work with the youth, completely different as opposed to performing at a university that's you know, Ivy League, or, you know, a university that has alumni with some really deep pockets. And, you know, because I know you can afford to pay the art what it's worth. You know, you can afford that. And it's also again, just my reputation. I've been doing poems for free for a very long time.
Right.
A very long time. And I'm not going to sit up here and say every time I do a poem now it's going to be for money. No, like, I understand when the art is needed. I completely do. Like I said, anything for the youth, anything for kids, I'm automatically down to do it anyway. So any monetary value that's coming out of that is just a bonus. But as I get stronger in my craft, and as I realize that what I'm doing, a lot of people, not that other people can't do it, but they can't do it like me. I'm doing something different. It's something different. You can easily go and get another poet. You can go and get another spoken word artist. That artist can be awesome. The artist can be well decorated as well, but they won't be rock. And that is why you're paying that. And I can show you that. I always let people know that if you feel as though you did not get what you wanted from me, please let me know this. I always reach out to people after performances, especially when I'm being paid, to let them know that I'm not. Yeah, let me know if there's something that you felt as though I could have done differently, or could have done better, or you felt as though, I mean, I'm not gonna give you your money back. The money's fine. I'm gonna keep that shit. But, you know, I can definitely add it for future reference. But yeah, I'm very aware of who I am, what I do, and what I bring to the stage. I love what I do. I enjoy the hell out of it, and I'm good at it. So if that's what you want to see, pay me for it.
There it is. I love it. I love it. You know, hey,
And Motherfuckers know, and I know people know me in poetry. I follow the dough, baby. If it's there, I'ma make it. I'ma get it.
Exactly.
Even when we doing slam, I know people don't like to tie with me. I am not the poet. I am not no tie poet. We gonna break this motherfucker. Either I won or I lost. Ain't no ties in
No
there.
tie. No tie. No tie. No tie.
Nah, we ain't tying.
We're gonna need a
Yup.
winner today.
Either I'm
Yes.
first or I'm second, and that's it. That's nothing.
it. That's it. I hear you.
Hey.
I'm picking up what you're putting down. I'm saying. Okay, yeah, I definitely wanted you to, as a person who book shows, I definitely, a lot of times, poets don't know how, when they say, what's your rate? People don't know how to choose the rate, right? So, I will just add that my booking agents, shout out to Keisha, who is also my personal assistant, said that you don't come out of the house for nothing less than half the rent. And that's for the children. Half the rent. Okay. So you got to think about your overhead, right?
Yeah.
Nothing less than half the rent. If it's virtual, maybe, it could be a little less because I ain't have to go nowhere. I can do it in the house. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's a lot of factors that has to go into it. And keep in mind that people are paying for the experience of things, right? When you go to the doctor, you want to know if you get ready to have surgery, you want to know if the surgeon has done this one time or has he been doing it for years, right? So you want to know that up the front. So if you're paying for the experience as well. So if you're getting Radi, and Radi has been performing for 9 years, or you're gonna get the poet who is performing for 1 year, right? So that's the thing. You have to pay for the experience as well. The longevity of it.
But like you'll have people who will do poetry shows and have a budget for a poetry show, and they'll say, you know what, out of this budget, I got $100 I can give to the poet for a poetry show.
For a poetry show.
But you got $600 for the DJ. Well, is this a party? Because if it's a party, then the DJ is the main factor.
Right.
But I think for the poetry show, a lot of your money should be going, a bulk of the money should be going to the poetry.
Yeah.
Definitely. I don't get that. So that definitely plays a big factor. As soon as, I only got this amount of money. Okay, bet. Y'all got a DJ? Yeah. And y'all charging at the door? Yeah. Oh, no, we got to go up on that price, bro.
Exactly.
That's not even
if you don't have a budget for the poets, then don't have a poetry show.
That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Don't do it.
There's other things you can do. You can literally take that money and go to other poetry shows and put it. You could use that money to support the arts. But I don't understand that. Like you guys, it's so much things that you have spent money on to include into the poetry show that had absolutely nothing to do with poetry or poetry at all. I don't get that.
Right. I definitely don't. As an organizer of events, I know what I can and cannot afford. If I can't afford 2 poets, but I can afford one poet, and I need to pay that poet more money instead of trying to break down the money on doing 3 or 4 poets, right? I just need to pay that one. So let me get a good one. You know what I mean? So I know as an organizer, yes.
And for me, for me, if you paying me if you're paying me well and the business is good, like I'm always gonna go above and beyond for any show that I'm doing. But if it's something close to home, why not bring another artist? It's poets that I do group pieces with, and I think some of my best poems are group pieces. I would love to share that with people. So if I'm able to, I always like to bring artists with me when I perform, and give them some dough too. Whatever you pay me, hit you up a little something too. If they can't cover your rent money, if they can't cover half the rent, that's a damn good rule of thumb. Right now, you definitely got to cover my whole rent now.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. You got to cover this motherfucker.
You got to cover that rent. Right. Yep. So, exactly. Okay, I'm going to ask you 2 more questions. Then I'm going to let you do a piece. And then I'm going to bring my co-host. And our silent host might have, you see, silent team member might have something, right? So I'm going to ask you. So I'm going to say that my mama is the first person that I call when anything happens, right? She is my number one go-to. I got to tell somebody this happened. This is the good news, right? I got a whole husband. We'll be together 20 years and, next month. But the first person I call is my mama. Then I call her. So, who is your person that you call with good news? Your person or your people? Shout them people out.
Definitely wife is number one. Anytime anything happens, She know what's up. If I get a letter, if I get a promotion or anything, if I just hear some good news, babe, I just found out that McDonald's is selling the steak, egg, and cheese again. She gonna get that text. She gonna get it. She's gonna get that text immediately. And then I immediately go to my poetry center.
Mm-hmm.
Teammates, my coach, baby sister. Baby sister gotta know.
Mm-hmm.
My baby sister, that's my heart right there. I do anything for that girl. So she knows when I'm very excited about something. And she'll ask me, how you doing out there? You doing okay? And like my family, they talk shit. I hope you ain't losing. I hope you better be whooping their ass out there. If you losing, we ain't trying to hear that shit. You ain't coming home with that shit. So yeah. And I already know if I hit my wife and my baby sister, they gonna take it out. They gonna shoot it to the whole family.
They're gonna tell everybody. There it is.
Yep.
So you told them, everybody know the good news.
Yeah. Because wife's gonna call my mama gonna call my big sister gonna call my grandmama, and once they hit grandmama, that's when the aunties and uncles about to find out. And see, baby sister, she younger, so she got the younger crowd. She got that. Yeah, so we good. The family gonna know.
That's amazing. let me just see which one of these questions I want to ask, because I said that it was just two, and I don't want to lie to the two. Okay. What have poets given you?
Poets. Anytime that I've ever felt as though I'm one of those people that feel like I call them tears of joy moment. When I was coming up, I didn't think that tears of joy was a real thing. Like you cried when shit hurt, when something bad happened. You didn't cry because anything was good. That was some shit you saw in movies. We didn't do that. Right. Until it happened to me, and it was like, oh, what the fuck? Like I was so happy that I started crying. I'm like, oh shit, this can happen. So I call those tears of joys moments. There is not one time that I've ever been to a poetry competition that was centered around women where that did not happen to me. At WAPS, they had a feature from Gail Danley. Floored me. Fucking floored me. Poets give me every poet that has changed me has changed me in a way of saying, this is what you thought that you could do. This is this boundary where you thought you had to stay in this line. You had to be right here. And I'm gonna just knock this out. You don't got to do that.
Wow.
Anything that you think is so difficult, and Gail Danley in between her poems basically says she had to hurry up so she can go home and masturbate. And
if the chain is right here, Gail is over there. She off the chain.
And at the end of her final piece, you can hear a mouse piss on cotton in that room.
Wow.
Everybody was silent. The heaviness of the poem, the emotion of it. I know people. I'm a very hard person to move to tears, and that shit made me water up. And it was the beauty of that, of the different dynamics of energies that she was able to produce with her feature. Seeing poets like Ed Mabry, Mabry, who just like a poet who has brought who I've looked up to here in Jersey, where they have a style of writing where it's like you're writing scenes. You're literally writing scenes, and you're stepping into this as a character. You have Chakra, who takes his element of battle rap and mixed it with poetry. And it's like unbelievable. They floor me so damn much. You have Portia O, who just I feel like Portia could write in any generation. Any of them. You could teleport Portia back to 1913 and she could write some shit that will still relevant to the times, still moving. And then you could easily sling her ass all the way forward to the year 3020 and it'll still be amazing. They have, and these are just a few of them. I mean, I can go on for days talking about poets who moved me. I have just list of them. Poets here in my hometown, Javon, Shy Connie, Nellie Best, Shea Butter, Assad. Like these people have done so much for me in art. to ask that question, that I could go on for 2 hours on that. What poets do.
Mm-hmm. That's
They just
amazing.
because and not even poets who are older than me who's been doing it. These youth poets, oh my God, going to them and seeing what they're as a youth poet, their vulnerability, their ability to put everything that they're feeling onto the paper.
Right.
They're not leaving out anything. They're not trying to make it metaphorically appeasing to you. This is what I feel. This is what I'm writing. This is what I'm gonna get. It can rhyme. It don't have to rhyme. It don't have to do anything. Like it doesn't even have to sound phonetically correct to you. But it's so fucking dope that they're able to do that. I feel like anytime that you are in a box, all you have to do as a poet, all you have to do is get around other poetry. That's all you got to do.
Wow.
Anytime that, you feel like I haven't been writing in a while, or I think I maybe have lost it. You don't even have to go to an open mic. Just call some poets over it and just sit in the room and just write and just tell them to start talking. I bet you'd be moved. It'll be something that they say that maybe you can't identify with, but maybe you didn't like what they said, and you have a great rebuttal for that. That anything can be inspiring in that way. Like poets have always moved me. There are poets whose names I don't even know, and I remember their performances like
you remember the poem, right?
Head.
You remember the poem? You don't remember who wrote it? Yeah.
I remember a certain movement that they made, a certain way that they talked. I remember there's a poet that is a legend here in New Jersey, Narubi Selah, and the way she speaks.
Narubi? Oh my God! You just saying her name. You understand what I'm just saying the name alone.
And it's beautiful. Like it, and I've had the honor of working with poets who I've worked with Mahogany Brown. I've worked with Ja Poetic, Big Mike, Gemini. Like I said, Flo. Like these poets are poets who they've done things that a lot of people felt as though you could not do in poetry. Poetry doesn't allow that, and they just like, nah, fuck that. Yes, it is. We can do it.
Right.
Love them.
We'll be talking all day, and you the phone number. I'm gonna let you do another piece. I'm gonna let you do another piece, and we might have to continue this. You done brought up Nairobi. I'm gonna give the screen to you and let the folks, and you do the folks, and I'll bring the other folks back.
Okay. She can't sleep. Sleep requires peace. There ain't peace. Tell her to eat. She can't eat. They cut her food stamps off last Friday. Last 20 got to stretch the next week. She can't sleep. Got a son, only one, he can't speak. Look just like them boys they shoot on TV. Look just like that man who said he can't breathe. Built just like them bodies they leave dead in the streets, so she can't sleep. She vent, but she black, they don't hear her speak. She scream, but she black, they don't hear us scream. She black and she woman, so she missing every week. Black, so she can't be weak. Gotta stay woke so she don't sleep, that she can't sleep. Quarantine, now she can't leave. Babies ain't in school, now they can't read. Gotta go to work, but she can't be out while the baby's in the house with no eats. How they gonna sleep? Told her she was essential with no vaccine. Her mask said Black Lives Matter when she clocked in on Juneteenth. How she gonna sleep? Don't nobody give her 6 feet. Don't nobody care about her coughing to her body in the coffin 6 deep. Virus took her mother. Doctor won't let her hug her to grieve, so she don't grieve. Just lay in the dark. And lay in the dark. And lay in the dark. Because she can't sleep. She need peace. And there ain't peace. There you go. And that's the one I said I would love to do that one in front of the Obama. She can't sleep.
Yes.
Yes, dedicated to all the Black women going through quarantine. So much love for y'all.
Oof, Radi. I'm sorry. Oh God. I was able to ask some of my questions earlier as we were having our discussion. One of my favorite pieces is the one that you wrote about the middle schooler or your students selling weed.
Yeah.
Is that based on a true story or something that you just kind of formulated?
Oh, that is true as a motherfucker. So I was actually telling the story to my coach, Ja Poetic. Shout out to the Brooklyn Slam team and the New York Slam team. And as I'm saying it, my whole team is cracking up at the story I'm saying. And he stopped and he was like, you know, you got to write that, right? That's your next poem right there. You got to write that. And I'm like, how the hell am I write that? And he was like, the fact that you are going through this, that you are outside of your school late at night and you run into your student, and it's a funny thing, but you see the problem in there as well. And he challenged me to do it, and I wrote it out, and it was a very difficult poem because before then I was very I'm very headstrong in keeping the privacy of my students private. You know, their stories. I'm very, very careful about how I write about them. Even if I decide to write about them, I never write about my students. So doing this one was difficult for me, but I think it paid off greatly. The students who I wrote about, they love it. They enjoy it. They have a good time with it. And even people who have never been my students feel like my students when they hear that poem, and that makes me feel really good.
That is okay. I'll be quiet now because I just want to talk about that poem because it is true. It is because the first time I saw you perform, you were doing a head-to-head against Black Chakra.
Yeah.
Y'all want to talk about a night of poetry?
Yeah, that was a night.
I'm surprised Impact Hub was still standing after that night.
That was a battle. That was a good one. But yeah, the like it was many different students I was talking about, but it was the time that I was working. I worked in the city of Irvington. Irvington was the roughest city I worked in. Not rough as far as like you know, danger or, you know, anything like that, fights or anything. It was the city where the students had the least amount of hope. They really didn't believe that anything was going to go well for them. And I didn't understand that. And then you could kind of, just walking around the city, you could kind of see why they feel that way. And I'm out late at night, just like I said, I'm on the block, and I am doing shit that I'm supposed to be doing at 147 on the block as a grown woman who's not at work.
Right.
And I see my student, he calls me, and he's on a bicycle. Oh, what the hell are you doing now on a bike? He said, he was like, my brothers just came home, and ain't no food in the house, you know, my mom been there, and my brothers just came home. He just gave me some money. I'm about to go up here to Chicken Shack and get some food for everybody. Fourth grade. At that time, he was in the 4th grade at that time. Then in middle school, I remember literally having a hat that said Kush. I would always flip it under when I went into school. And one time, my student saw, he was like, "Miss Money, you smoke?" I said, "What?" He was like, "You smoke?" I said, I don't know what you're talking about." And he comes to me after school. He was like, I'm just like, you know, I got $30 if you want some. Dude, that sounds like a really great price, but I just can't. I can't dibble and dabble in that. And I know that that's what. Not only was it just students, but it was like coming up in middle school. The shit that I didn't realize the shit that I was doing in middle school was wild until I left middle school and I started talking to other middle school kids. And I'm like, yeah, I can't believe the shit I was doing when I was your age, like, because you know, here I am shocked that this student is about to sell me weed, but I did not automatically remember being in middle school. I had friends who sold weed and who smoked daily, and they sold a lot of stuff, and they grew up and they kept on doing it. Like it was a lot of wild shit that we were doing when we were kids, and a lot of people just chunked it up to, oh, you know, this generation is wild, but it's like, no, every generation is wild. It's something. Everybody has something where it was outlandish. You probably don't think it's outlandish until you go back and you talk about it. You realize how old you were when that shit happened. Right. And the reason I made it specifically about middle school kids is because I believe the elementary school children have a lot more resources because they're younger. High school has more resources because they're young adults. You know, they're trying to get you ready for the world when you're getting out. Middle school is that awkward middle moment. And it's the most pressure. You're going through changes. Your body is changing. The way that you are thinking is changing. Here it is, you going through cramps for the first time in your life, and your math teacher doesn't understand why you don't want to hear about no damn Pythagorean theorem today. You don't want to deal with that today. So it's like I feel like middle school students, they need a lot more. I think that it's a lot of love and support that they need that they're not getting, and I just want to let them know I'm there for them. I love them so much.
I'm going to ask the question in the chat next, but as soon as you say that, you said their bodies are changing, their thoughts are changing, their voices are changing.
Yeah, everything.
So much change going on between 6th and 9th grade.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So Alexis in the chat, because I don't want to bypass it. On the comment of the bio, what methods would Radi recommend to aspiring poets in terms of self-promotion and or social media?
Well, when it comes to social media, I'm really not that grand with social media. I'm still learning it. However, I know that now social media is like the newspaper. People will find your business on Instagram before they find it on anything else. So you have to promote yourself there. And because of all these social medias, like if you're getting deep into it from what I'm learning, and I don't do this, but I definitely learned about it. There's different algorithms for each one. There's a way to play the game so that you are promoted a little bit more. What I will say as far as selling yourself, again, your confidence goes a long way. Speak yourself up. It's not just about how passionate you are. It's knowing that you are the shit. Even if you don't feel it, you let them feel it. You make people believe in anything that you do, no matter what. Starting off in a job interview, no matter, big yourself up. You know, like I said, I get my ass whooped a lot. I don't post my L's. If you see me talking about a slam and I lost that slam, you don't hear shit else about that slam. All you see is a flyer and that's it. You don't see no pictures from that motherfucker, nothing. You know, and I'm not saying hide your L's. I'm saying promote your wins. Put yourself out there. You know, show the things that you have done. You're gonna fall down a lot. That one time that you get up, make a whole bunch of posts about it. Go crazy. You know, let them see that. And don't be afraid to try to go to many different things. A lot of people use Instagram as their only go-to, but there is a different crowd on Instagram than there is on Facebook, which is a very different crowd than on Twitter, which is a very different crowd on TikTok. Like, and I don't know anything about TikTok, but everybody has a specific crowd. And now I think with social media, seeing how they know so many artists and so many businesses are using their platforms, they have so many, tricks just for us. They literally can tell you what your target audience is and what time is your target audience the most online. That's crazy, but you can do it. So confidence go a long way. Big yourself up. You gonna always be the shit if you say you are.
Awesome. There's a video that I saw years ago, like maybe a TikTok, or no, it wasn't TikTok. It must have been like something I saw on Instagram. And I want to say the guy may have been not from America. I don't know exactly what country he was from. And the person sent me this video, and it was comedic initially, but when I listened to it, I was like, it was powerful. And in the video, he says, and he has an accent. It's just kind of funny, but he says, when I walk into a room, there's a sound. I make a sound, bang, da dang, and it was like funny, right? I was laughing at it, but as I listened to him, he was talking about the confidence that he has. When I walk into the room, I change the atmosphere. I move people. I cause a sound in your body, in your mind, whatever, that kind of thing. And I adapted that concept to try to really embody that. And when I'm listening to this interview, Radi, I'm like, yeah, bang, da dang, she's a sound when she comes.
For real. Yeah, I think people don't do that enough. Like, one thing I definitely do, like in job interviews, anything, I let people know. Even if it's a job I've never filled out before, I don't have no experience in. Right. I'll let you know that. Look, aside from everything else, is being brass tacks with you. I'm a fast learner, and I've never done anything that I've wanted to do and not been good at it. Even if I stumble, if you teach it to me once, I may get it. But if you teach it to me twice, I'll never forget it. Wow. Never. Right. Like, big yourself up. Speak to your strengths. Be real about yourself. People are so amazing, and they overlook their own amazingness every day. As long as you can see it one time, don't forget about it, and you always embellish that amazing part of you.
That's awesome. I love it.
That is amazing.
That is amazing. One of the questions I have on my segment, Passion Projects, is actually under my what I call whimsical questions. But I was thinking about it for you. If you had a billboard, like if you were assigned a billboard, and you can put your words on it, whatever you would want to say, and it would remain on that billboard even well past you being on this earth, what would your billboard say?
Ooh. I don't know.
Oh, I got you. Stumped you. Huh?
Yeah, because it
I really was about to say bang to the day.
Right.
That's a hard question. As she asked that, I was thinking about that myself. I'm like, what would it say? And it's gonna be here past.
yeah, it's gonna be if like I would, if I had to say one thing just for everybody, stop stressing about time. That shit ain't real. Stop stressing about time. That shit ain't real. It is not real. They can move it up and back whenever they want to. That shit ain't. Just live, experience it. Just live. Don't worry about it.
That's good advice. I heard that in the interview, and I was like, man, I wish I had understood that some years ago, but it's not too late to implement that now. So that's good stuff.
It's never too late. That's the beauty of it. Like, it's never too late. You can and one of my poetry family members told me this. Her name is Lindsay Young. She's awesome. She said you can literally make up who you are any second. You could decide that you don't want to be this person no more, and you can literally just be a whole new person the next second.
Yes.
Who's gonna tell you that you're wrong? You can make it up as you go. You can say, like, you know what, today I was eating meat. I'm vegan now. That's it. Like, you know, you can literally just, okay, you're vegan now. So yeah, it doesn't. Time ain't real. Whatever you want to do it. Go for it. Don't even worry about that. Don't worry about this thing that only humans are living by. No one else is. Nothing else in the world is living by time. But just go, do it.
Analysis. Are you ready?
For Radi, I'm always ready. That's my Radi. Because she knows if we were in person, we'd be acting a fool and cutting up in the room like that. That's what we do when we see each other. So good to see
believe it.
Always good to see you. A few quick things. First, a general statement that this has to be one of my favorite interviews out of the entirety of the Kitmo interviews, and you know,
even your own interview.
It just has to be one of my favorite ones, you know. And we do so much to promo, but this is one of those that even after the fact, I'm gonna have to kick out to people and say, this is why I post every Sunday. This is why I make all my little witticisms every Sunday, trying to get y'all to watch the damn interviews, because this is what you have. Because what you have said tonight really thoroughly unpacked a variety of areas. And so this is one of these interviews that I'm gonna be using to promo Kitmo.
Thank you.
You know, and that's to your compliment.
You always know how to make me smile.
Oh, because you're Radi.
Love you.
Couple quick things. This first one you may have already talked about. I had to step out for 20 or 30 minutes right after your first poem. So if you and KaNikki already addressed this, skip right over it. But I'm wondering, and this is former educator talking to educated, teach, five, teach, and all of that. Do you feel as if your being a poet and your ability to express through poetry makes you a better educator? You talked some about your students and your relationship, but in terms of being an educator and pedagogy and being able to practice that craft and that profession, does your poetry feed into your ability as an educator? That's one thing. And then two, there was a piece that you, and I cannot remember the sister's name, y'all did a group piece last year at Southern Fried Slam online, and it had to have been, now I've heard many excellent, well-executed group pieces. I know many groups that do, and well, I'm from Baltimore, so of course I got the whole crew down here, my Connecticut crew, all of that. The execution, I mean, down the timing from the attacks to the cutoffs, the interchange, the balance, the way you all played that was probably the best executed duo piece I've ever heard. It was an amazingly well executed piece in terms of your timing, your emotiveness, how you all got it across, and it was tight. And I did not hear any loose gaps in that piece.
Mm-hmm.
I hope you remember the piece I'm talking about. I wish I could tell you the sister's name. She's tall sister.
Iconic.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my baby right there.
Right. You know the piece that I'm talking about.
Yes.
And what you've already talked about, the fact that you do workshops and group pieces. To get to that, you were in the zone, if we were talking in sports terms. You know, what is it to get into the zone of timing and execution? What told you that, oh, hell yeah, we in the zone with this now. We where we supposed to be. Because there are plenty excellent group pieces, but that was on a whole level, the way you executed. So if you want to deal with either of those questions.
The first one, if my artistry helps and feeds into me as an educator, tenfold. Being a teacher for so long in New Jersey, and I can only speak for New Jersey. I don't know if it's like this in other states, but I know here, the administration has their hands directly into what you can and cannot teach your students verbatim. You know that there's literally what you have to say word for word. There's a way you have to teach it, even if it's not the best way for your students. You have to do it that specific way, and after in the beginning it's just annoying, and then you start to see the detriment of it, how that negatively impacts your students, and it kind of kills their drive for education. It kills their motivation. It's like they feel as though, well, if I'm already not good at it, and I haven't been good at it, and you keep doing it this way, why am I even going to keep listening? You know, what's the point of me even coming to this class to not do well? At the time that I was going through a lot with my going through a lot of just feeling really bad about not being able to help my students the way that I know that I could and that I really wanted to. I noticed that my students were finding a lot of my poetry outside. They were looking me up. They would see one, and then they would just go, and they would come in. Hey, I saw this poem. I saw this poem. Hey, you know, and then one of them said, "Can we talk about this today in class? This poem that you wrote right here?" And I always say this in the feature. I had one student, I know the top of his head better than I know his face, because he was always asleep, always knocked out of my class, knocked out in every class. And I didn't bother him because, again, when he was up, he did listen, he paid attention, he didn't cause any trouble. And I don't know what your life is like at home. You don't really like to talk about things, so I'm not going to try to push it. But the moment that I had a student had asked me to play Dive, and I played it on YouTube for them to see, he lifted his head and he stayed up the entire class. The entire class. And that's when I knew that I felt like my work that I was doing outside of the classroom was helping my students more than what I was doing in teaching in the classroom. So I would use that as a way of, like, you know, even if you feel as though what the school is giving you is not helping you get further, that pen that you got can take you a lot further than you think. And it doesn't have to be in the shape of poetry. It doesn't have to be in the shape of music. It could be in the shape of anything. Just you writing out your thought. Just you writing it out. You know, it could take you a lot further than what you think. So yes, to be honest, the work that I was doing with the students and how much the art and the poetry was impacting them more than what I was doing in the classroom, that's what made me step out of the classroom. That's when I became a full-time artist. When I realized that my students were no longer getting what they needed from me in the classroom. They were getting it from me performing. And I didn't know that was going to happen. I had no idea that was going to happen, but because it did, I couldn't ignore that anymore. As far as the second one, I remember the piece. I did a piece with Shikana called BDSM. I did another one with a poet by the name of Sink called Mass. It took me a while to get into writing group pieces. I didn't understand the concept in the beginning. It was very, very difficult to merge my style with another style and things of that nature, and not sound the same. You know, keeping your individuality while in a group piece. It was hard to do that. My coach Flo Mentals, he has a way of reading a poem and saying, your twist is here. This is when you need to change your pace. Or, like, you know, I see what you're doing in the beginning, but I think that you're drawing it out a little too long. You need to start putting your messages in now. You know, put it in now. You built up the story, you know, people can follow it. Now tell them, what are you here to say? And once I was able to see him do it so many times, I was able to pick up on it. So it was like, okay, we're writing this poem, we're writing about the same thing. I can line these poems up together into a group piece, and I know that at this point, this is when we need to start picking up. And not even in the writing, but it also translates in the performance. When we started off, there is a way, like practicing one line 3 or 4 times just to get how are we saying it correctly? Are we conveying the emotion that we want to convey when we say it? You know, we're not supposed to be serious here. We're supposed to be funny here. Oh no, this is a serious one. We gotta turn this up. And then another way of getting in the zone and just adding that fire underneath in your belly is the natural state of competition. That's why I love slam. I think slam puts something in performers and poets that other disciplines just aren't. It just can't do. It lights the fire in your belly. It makes you want to spit harder. It makes you want to give a little bit more energy to it, which can harm and help your performance. But the fact that you want to do it, the fact that you have the energy to do it, it automatically correlates into your group pieces. So if you automatically like the piece that you wrote, you stand by your words, you agree with it, and you're able to have the energy back it's going to be a great performance every time. And I'm very good off feeding off the energy of my partner. So if they're hype, I'm going to get hype. And I can see when they're hype. I can see when they're so into it. You know, you can't look at them, but in your peripherals, they're hitting all the moves. And you like, oh, this motherfucker turned up. And you get turned up too. So it works out well.
Yeah, very good. Because the resonance between y'all was excellent. And you could tell that you had just that, a resonance. So y'all were in tune. It went beyond y'all just knew the poems. Y'all were here. Y'all were connected. You know, and it was as one.
It's something that's like I've had the honor of being around the teammates that I have now. I've been around them for so long in poetry, so our energy is very compatible for one another, which is why I will always love going to a Slamageddon show. I know how much time these artists spend around each other, not only on stage but off stage. So I know that chemistry there, that's not just for the performance. That's not fake. That's something that you can't really teach that. It comes over time, you know, or it just comes with a basic level of understanding and knowing that you're safe with this person on stage. Like, you know, as an artist, we're good. There's nothing that you're going to say that I don't agree with. We're going to vibe out. So that's why I love group pieces. I feel like the best work that I've done has always been with another artist.
Amen.
Amen.
Awesome. That was my question. Was Radi? You said it means thunder. Is it a specific language, or is it where did that come from specifically?
My sister gave it to me. She said it was Swahili. You know, okay. Niggas, we like to say shit is Swahili a lot. You know,
right.
Or, I don't know. You know, it could be anything. All I know is that I get a lot of Middle Eastern people say, "You sure you Radi?" So I think it's a Middle Eastern thing too, because a lot of it is. They'll come up to me like, "Wait, you're Radi?" I sure am. Spelt that way. That's how you say it. So yeah, my sister said it's Swahili, so I'm gonna go with that.
Gotcha.
I have so many questions, but I'm not gonna hold us. Like, you know, I have like the 10,000 questions. However, I will tell you this. I literally was editing a group piece before we started this show. And everything you just said about writing group pieces, I literally took the link from YouTube, sent it to my teammates and said, I need y'all to run back the last 10 minutes of this interview and then holler at me afterwards. Just take this. I was like, we're still live. But take the last 10 minutes and run it back.
Like I'll stop a group piece in the middle of performing. Like, okay, you don't say that. Like, you wrote this line a certain way, but you don't say it that way.
Right. I was literally sitting here with a piece of paper going, put the emphasis here, do this, do that, and then come back to me and read it again. It's crazy. I was like, man.
Like, you know, if you don't gotta say like if you saying oh my God, I just couldn't believe it. And teammate, you know, you don't talk like that. You never went in and say, oh my God. You gonna come here and say, oh my God, I could not believe that shit there. That's how you talk. So say it like that. If that's the way you say it, Yeah, and as your teammate in this poem, if I know that's the way you speak, either I can match that energy or I can say something afterwards in my own way. But if me and you got the same energy, then that's where we're going. Don't just say it just because it's not. Speak your twang. Put your own swag onto it. I'ma follow you. I'ma follow
I'm gonna ask you the hardest question you will get all night. This is the last interview question.
Harder than the Billboard one, because that Billboard one had a motherfucking thump, man. I tell you.
Harder than that. I thought about that long enough to figure out what I've never actually decided to answer that question. The same tagline I have on social media would be the same thing I write on the Billboard, because I realized something. On my tagline, I have writer, poet, genius, right? And I thought about it, and I was like, you can fill in so much stuff ahead of that. Like, I am a, I can be a, I will be a, and it's infinite. I would just write that part and have the blanks above that.
Okay.
Because it's not just me. I was like, anybody can be a. But
you had time to think about it. You know, you throw it off. We ain't know what the answer. I still don't have no answer. Like, this Cayenne stuff everybody tonight.
I'm gonna go grab my charger, so my camera gonna be moving around. I don't want this to do nothing. All right, we together.
And while you do that, I will give you the a minute to think about this last important question. It's the most
we just had a shop in the chat about when we're coming back to Louisville for Lipstick Wars.
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. So I was supposed to be coming to the one that just passed, but the host was going through some things with the passing of a very close family member, and it was a lot of back and forth, and financially I couldn't pull that. But I was definitely supposed to be at the last one. So the next one that's coming up, because I love Louisville, y'all know that's where we're gonna be so fried. That's family right there. Mm-hmm. Bourbon and baseball bats. I love that motherfucker. I love me some Louisville right there. So as soon as they
hug me when you see me.
And I shout out to Rihanna and shout out to Lance as well. Anytime that they are doing a show and they curate it, I think they put so much professionalism behind it that all they got to do is call me and just tell me, hey, I want you to come out and perform. I'm there. I love performing for their crowds. I love how much care they put into it. And it, like I said, it's only certain cities that really can call me at any time, and I'm coming. Louisville is definitely one of them cities. Baltimore, hands down, I'm coming. Georgia, yeah, and not even a city, but Texas as a whole. Texas do really, really. They have a really, really good culture down there for the arts. Like, you know, and it not even like it's not even one uniform way. You know, everybody has their own different swag in Texas. And Atlanta, what I love about Atlanta is like that city, it'll be in Atlanta, you could literally go to a different venue every single night. It's a whole new crowd, a whole new vibe, a whole new swag. Mm-hmm. Baltimore, what I love about Baltimore is that you could go to a show every night, and at every night they promoting each other's shows. I love it. I ain't never seen nothing like that. Usually when there's 3 shows happening in a week, they're promoting their show for the next week. Nope. Baltimore is gonna tell you about the show that's happening. Hey, yo, when y'all came from the open mic that just happened before here, well, we're gonna be at Bus Boys over here, and then next week gonna be over here. Tomorrow we're doing this one over here. Like, I love that. Anytime that y'all call, I'm coming.
It's absolutely true. Absolutely true.
Very true. That is us.
All right. Here's your hard question. I'm gonna run real quick. Miss Cayenne does passion projects. And KaNikki, you've done hers as Poets and Platforms, and mine's Let's Talk About the ... And Sherry's is From Behind the Microphone. So you know the general idea of what these segments do. Mm-hmm. So now that you have been on the show, who do you think would make the next contestant? No, who would be a great guest on the show? Who would you like to see do this show?
Of poets that I'll be talking to.
Listen, we have had musicians, we've had comedians on here, we've had a photographer,
we've had a makeup artist.
Yeah, we had a makeup artist who also
Okay.
has to be a dope ass poet, but she's a makeup artist. So we cross cut here. We've had writers who are not poets. Like we've had a romance novelist on here. Like, yeah.
There's an artist. There's actually two artists that just came to mind. They're both from where I'm from here in Jersey. One of them their name is Euphony. Euphony I am. They are multi-talented. They sing, they do poetry, and they paint as well. And usually when you do those things, you're kind of weak at one of them. They are really fucking great at all three of them. And there's another artist by the name of Queen of B who has taken social media and can literally teach you how to like. Queen of B took me on a retreat for 3 days, and within 3 days, the goal was to create 30 days of content. We created more than 30 days of content, and it was just teaching me certain tricks of the trade. And Queen does so much as far as poetry, voiceover work, commercials, a lot of brand deals and things of that nature. Just artists who are making their own way in their game. Like, you know, this is what a lot of people do traditionally, but this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna figure out how to make this work for me. You know, this is a whole new age, a whole new style. Queen was just letting me know the other day, like nowadays, you don't even have to leave your home to have a very good, like, you know, to take care of yourself and live in a very, very comfortable way that you want to. You can literally cut on your computer and feed yourself. No problem. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of for me that was very different. So I think a lot of people would benefit from hearing that. So yes, those are the two people I recommend: Euphony I am and Queen of B, and I would definitely send their information.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
We keep a running list. You've been on the running list for a while.
we are excited that you are here.
It takes us a while sometimes to figure out like where we're going to, what month and when we want to have.
Yeah, I totally stole her.
Yeah.
Yeah. We have a fight list. The fight list is all of us want to interview said person, and sometimes we get them on a round table if we have a round table, and sometimes they just get snatched up.
Okay.
So let's everyone give a round of applause for our amazing special guest, Radi.
Thank you guys so much. So much for having me.
So excited that you were here this evening.
Thank you.
We will be back on June 12th. We have Memorial Day coming up, and there are some holiday celebrations coming up. So we're just going to take a quick break for the beginning of June. So we will be back on June 12th with Miss Cayenne. That is not the correct date. Yes, it is. I looked it up.
That's the correct date.
It is June 12th. Who will be meeting Ms. Cayenne?
Yes, we will be meeting a wonderful poet, Cynthia Amaya. She's based in the States, but I'm excited because her background. She's a Ghanaian poet. Ooh. So this is my goal was to get an international guest. This is my first step. We're not fully there. It's my first step, but anyway, she's going to be our guest for June 12th. And I love it because not only, of course, she's sharing her poetry on various platforms, but like you said, Radi, artists who are finding their own way, making it do what it do non-traditionally. I mean, so she's on stages, TED Talks, and corporate settings, as well as your typical, your open mic. So I'm excited to get a chance for you guys to meet her and hear her story as well.
I cannot wait. So everyone, please have a safe and enjoyable Memorial Day weekend. Again, we will be back on June 12th. Stay safe, wash your hands, let's everybody not get sick, and we will see y'all all again.
Have a great night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye, y'all.
Bye-bye.
Peace.